Hey guys, Sergeant Fitness here. Um, just I guess recently, within the week or so, um, I posted a video about steroids are cheating, and that got me thinking about powerlifting and bench shirts, squat suits, and then I was sort of scratching my head and thinking, well, that's really cheating too, and I'm kind of wondering. How is it that people were ever allowed to use support gear um, in competition? I mean, I'm not really into powerlifting, but from what I understand, like those shirts and suits can add at least 100, if not more, pounds to what you can lift naturally, unsupported, under your own power. It seems to me that the competition should be between two humans without any external support or help. Um, just a thought. I don't know. Um, but the bigger thing I wanted to sort of touch on is in training, something that might be considered cheating in competition could be a useful tool in training. If you reverse that, like this device called the slingshot, I'm sure many of you know about it, probably know more about it than I do. I believe they come in different sizes or strengths. Um, I don't know if squat suits or bench shirts come in different levels of support or elasticity, but it'd be very similar to partial range movements, taking a heavier weight than you can handle for full range and working it in a partial range and very slowly over time progressing the range that you handle that weight. A great way to train for someone that wants to, handle larger poundages, and in truth, probably the secret of the old time strongman and lifters, pre-steroid era, all those guys, incorporated the power rack or some way to start with a very small range and very heavy weight and progress that into a longer and a bigger and bigger range until it's a full range. There comes a certain point where within the full range movement, once you kind of plateau out, you really aren't going to go anywhere, and then that's when you would throw that in. One of the big positives about it is you get yourself under load, a much heavier load, so your whole body can start gradually getting used to that, and psychologically you get used to it and you see it, if you have a mirror or something. That technique is what enabled me to get to a 400-pound squat using the power rack, and I would work, I would work full range first, and then I'd throw on, 45 on each side, and with each set of 40, with each pair of 45s, I would move the pins up, move my range up, so the range would get shorter and shorter as the weight got heavier. And initially, I was starting with just taking like 500 pounds off and just standing there with it on my shoulders and letting my body just feel that and kind of have an isometric hold in a standing position. And you'd be amazed at how much stimulus that triggers. Now, obviously, if you're someone that can already squat 500 pounds, then maybe you stand with 1,000 or 1,000 plus static hold. That also started building my confidence, so I started moving that 500 in a very short range. And each time I built up to a certain number of reps, I would slowly increase the range. And incrementally, all the different weights that I was using as I worked through the range, all their ranges were increasing. So what once was heavy was gradually getting a longer and longer range and moving down to the next level. Plus, constantly working with this really heavy, for me, 500 pounds, and gradually increasing its range, made that 405 psychologically less threatening and easier, and just physically feel easier. So there was like this knock-on effect all the way down. But what I'm getting at is you can do similar things, use of support gear, use of the slingshot, throw 100 or whatever it helps you with, 200 pounds on there, with a certain slingshot or level of elasticity with your bench shirt, or if you're squatting, whatever you're working, and then gradually go to the less helpful or less supportive gear until at some point in time you're weaned off it, but you've added this much to whatever lift you're working. Or another thing I just thought of, I meant to mention, you've seen a lot of the guys, working the bench, and they have these various amount of 2x4s nailed, glued, or however they're held together, but they're different distances. So, a guy might go full range and fatigue, and then they throw in a couple 2x4s. He can still get a couple more reps in that shorter range, and they throw in a bigger jump block until finally he's, just moving it a couple inches, but he's done much more work. Or you can go the other way, obviously, go heavier, shorter range, just like you were in a power rack. And I've also seen, people use the bands in that fashion. Instead of, obviously you can pull against them, and you see that a lot, having them come around the bar and be maybe attached to the power rack, so they're helping you. And over time you can start with the thicker bands, or the ones that have more elasticity, and over time you reduce the amount of help the bands are giving you. So just a thought, training tip, something to think about. And this is for advanced trainers. When you want to do the least that you can do that'll get you the most, and you want to milk it for as much as you can. You don't want to take an advanced technique and use it too soon, because then it's not going to have maximal effect down the road when you really need it. If you're still able to progress in a more normal modality or normal fashion, then go with that. You want to wait till you feel pretty confident you've gotten as far as you can get, and you're not going any further, and then plug in a tactic, more advanced, or something that is more intense, or is more applicable for that point that you've gotten in your training. All right, Sergeant Fitness, I'm out.